Namaste. Welcome, everyone. My name is Todd Norian. I'm the founder of Ashaya Yoga, and welcome to Look Behind the Veil of Ashaya Yoga. It's a chance to go a little bit deeper with some of the teachings of Ashaya, and then I'm going to give you a class of the Ashaya method, and it's going to include some breathing exercises, meditation, and a nice relaxation at the end. And today's title is The Power of Yoga to Manage Your Emotions, which I think is a really great thing that's really needed. Like, have you had experiences where your emotions just bubble up and it's hard to control them, and especially when we get triggered? And I think yoga really can offer something for us, because when we're sort of out of control in our emotions, we're out of our center. And we use yoga then to help bring us back to our centered. And I boiled it down to 4 steps to bring us back. And these 4 steps really correspond with the 4 essentials of Ashaya Yoga. The 4 essentials are open, engage, align, and expand. And you can think of these 4 things as like a spiritual blueprint for the alignment practice. Behind every pose, we open, we engage, we align, and we expand. This also has some application to how to manage our emotions too. So, yoga is like the great self-regulator and helps to put us back in our heart when you feel off balance or when you feel triggered. And if you're living fully in your life, life is going to trigger you. So I think it's something useful and something that is really easy to do, but it's not often taught. So, regulator, and helps to put us back in our heart when you feel off balance or when you feel triggered. And if you're living fully in your life, life is going to... Okay, so sorry, just a technical issue there. The audio was coming through. So I'm hoping you can still hear me. I hope so. I'm just going to go with that. I had to mute my audio, so but that's from my computer, so I hope you can still hear me. If you can't, we'll redo it later. No biggie. So I was meeting with a friend the other day, and we were trying to work on very new software, and it was technologically challenging for me. And I was stressed out. I didn't have much bandwidth, and I just sort of blew up. Like, my frustration just sort of bubbled over, and it created a problem. And it's hang on just a second. Okay, great. And these kinds of things happen all the time. But in reflection of that experience, I thought, for yoga, I want to learn how to manage sort of the bubbling over, because really the bottom line is I felt out of control. And I've been practicing for a long time. I'm a fairly conscious person. But there are these times when just the situation is just right. It's like the perfect storm where it's hard to manage. So the 4 steps of using yoga to manage our emotions. The first is to open. So what helped me is just to bring breath into the equation. So you have to step back a little bit and then breathe. I was aware that I was going into this emotion. So I just let myself breathe. And when we breathe, we open to a bigger energy, and we start to relax the sympathetic nervous system, which is really the fight, flight, or freeze. I was so much in fight, flight, or freeze because I was just afraid. And to get ourselves off that track, you have to do something. So the idea of the breath relaxes the nervous system, relaxes the diaphragm, and all the nerves in the brain and everything. So breath is really, really key. So we start with breath. And then the next are 3 R's. So to remember, and that is to remember who you are. You are the crystallization of the divine's desire to know itself. To really honor ourselves, and to honor ourselves with acceptance. Now, usually when we sort of get out of control of our emotions, the very first thought is self-judgment, being self-critical. We put ourselves down. But being out of control is this sort of younger part of ourselves, like our core wounded identity comes forward. And there's really just like a little child there that feels afraid. So we don't want to abandon that little kid inside of ourselves. So the second, it's to remember. Second step is to remember. So breathe, remember, and then reflect. And reflect is like we get to really see like how that happened, and has this happened before, and what is it that you're really working on. And I saw for myself, oh yeah, I'm like working on how to channel my emotions better, and how to stay in my heart, and then how to get back to the heart when I get pulled out of my heart. So the reflection, it's kind of like analysis in a way, but we want to step back enough that we can see some of the pulls, like, well, what made that happen? And where wasn't I clear in my intention? Because usually there's an expectation that either you or the other person has, and it's not communicated. And so an unmet expectation always results in frustration, you know. So we step back, we really look, so we reflect. And then the last step is reach out. You know, there's always time to make amends, to reach out. If you feel like you need to apologize, sometimes that's like asking for forgiveness, you know, and we make amends. So breathe, remember, reflect, and reach out. And those 4 things are the steps to come back into the heart from being triggered and going out of the heart. And they correspond to open, engage, align, and expand physically in our asanas. So I invite you to take a comfortable seat, just wherever you are. Elevate your hips. So sit up on 1 or 2 blankets, or you can even do this in a chair. And then manually turn your thigh bones in to widen the sitting bones. Draw your tailbone down. And then join your index fingers and thumbs in a mudra, which means a gesture, which is like a little asana in and of itself, where we touch our individual nature, the index finger, to our universal nature. In a sense, the limited part of ourself, which has all of these imprints and core wounded identities and all that, with the universal, which is the thumb, which is like our divine identity, which is limitless, which is supremely free and open. So touch, palms down, close your eyes, and let's start with the first essential. Take some long, deep breaths. And when you inhale, invite the light of the universe to fill you. And then fill your torso and fill your lungs with breath. We understand that breath and anxiety cannot coexist. Breath is really the key to interrupt patterns of limitation. So when you breathe, lengthen your ribs from your hips all the way up to your shoulders. Then take the head of your arm bones back. Lift your throat. Take your palate back and lift the back of your skull up. And now as you exhale, let your hips settle. Imagine your hips could get heavier, but your heart gets a little lighter. And position your palate directly above your pelvis, so you have head, heart, and body all in one line. And let this breath be the affirmation that you are with yourself. You are for yourself. So much of the times we're just fighting with ourselves. We're against ourselves. So remember who you are, and remember that you are worthy of love, and that you are a work in progress. Breathe into your heart now, and then set a heart intention for yourself that for this next 45 minutes, you just simply let go, relax, be present, and open to a bigger energy. And then bring your palms together in front of your heart. And we're going to chant 3 ohms. Now I'm going to play the harmonium, which is a very beautiful keyboard instrument. And as you chant the sound of Om, let the vibrations of the Om sound reverberate inside of you. And let the Om help you to get even more deeply connected to yourself. That if you feel like you've been a little bit out of your center, that by the last Om, you'll be completely back in the heart center. And with remembrance of the spirit deep inside your own heart, gently bow. And then you can open your eyes. Namaste, welcome back. Okay, let's start. Please join me in a standing position. I'll meet you there in just a moment. Okay, so come on up to standing. Stand with your feet hip distance apart, feet parallel. And then bring your palms together in front. Find your breath. And then hug in with remembrance. Claw your hands slightly. Lift your toes and your leg muscles will engage. And then reflect. Take your thighs back, tailbone in. Lift your heart. From your pelvis, now try to root your bones down into the earth. And from your pelvis, rise up. Inhale, stretch your arms up. Exhale, release your arms back down by your sides, palms in front of the heart. And continue to coordinate the movements of your arms with your breath. And then see if you can let the breath lead and you follow. So put the breath first. And then follow right behind in the wake of the breath. Find your own natural rhythm. And breathe. Awesome. Next time you stretch your arms up, look up. And then exhale, fold forward, lead with your heart. Come all the way down and touch ego talons onto the floor. That's just your fingers. And if you can't reach that, get a block, 1 or 2 blocks. Put your hands on the block. And pause and breathe. And then as you bow, just let go. Lift your toes. Hug in with remembrance. And inhale. Lift your heart forward halfway. And then exhale, fold. Again, inhale. Lift your heart. Exhale, release and bow. Inhale, heart forward. And then exhale, left foot back, lunge. Hold the lunge for a moment. Lift your left knee up away from the floor. And as your left leg goes up, pull your tailbone in and release your right hip down toward the floor. So one leg goes up to the sky, the other leg towards the earth. And from your pelvic core, push through your left heel and forward through your right shin. Continue to hold and breathe. Then lower your left knee to the floor. Put your right hand on your right leg and twist. Root your pelvis toward the floor, but lift your heart up. Good. Stretch and try to feel where your body is stiff and tight. And then instead of clenching about all that, hug your legs into the middle. Hug muscles onto the bones with remembrance. Yes, we want to learn how to stop criticizing ourselves, let go of the harshness, and start bringing acceptance and love. Lift your heart. Remember, you are a work in progress, not finished. Exhale, release. Now, walk your hands back. Walk your left knee 1 inch back. And start to come up onto the right heel. Flex your foot, push your heel down, and isometrically pull backwards. Pull your tailbone in, ribs in, and then gently bow. Inhale, come on up. Twist to the right. Both hands to the outside of the right shin. And you're going to feel this one. So just the twist really increases the stretch. Root your right thigh toward the floor. And then pull your tailbone in and bow. Breathe. If you feel stretch, that's really good. We want to feel the stretch here. Just don't overdo it. And try to bring your breath into the sensation that you feel in your leg. So it's not just stretch alone and then you abandon it. You go right to it. Hug in with love. Just breathe. Stay with the stretch so you can feel it, sense it, and you start to notice, wow, the pain starts to dissipate. Exhale, release. And bend your right knee. Step forward, left leg. Inhale, heart halfway forward. Exhale, right leg back. Hold the lunge. With remembrance, hug your legs in toward the middle. Remember that we're connected to a bigger energy. Hug muscles to bones. And then lift the back of the right thigh up toward the sky. And then take the outer left hip crease back and down. And from your pelvis, push straight back through the right heel and forward through the left shin. Today we're going to work with the hips. And bring your right knee down to the floor. Let's twist up to the left. Put your left hand on your left leg. Scissor the leg strongly. Pull your belly in. Turn your heart more and more up to the sky. And then bring your shoulders back, head back. And see if you can breathe yourself back into your heart center. Yoga is the great self-regulator. Stay connected with the sensations in your body. Exhale, release. Walk your hands back. Walk your right knee back about 1 inch. And then roll up onto the left heel. Root. Isometrically pull back, draw your tailbone in, and then bow. Full and deep breaths. Inhale, slowly come up, spread your toes, and then twist both hands to the outside of the left leg. And exhale, bow again. And to the best of your ability, enjoy your suffering and bring loving awareness through the breath to the stretch. And see now if you can squeeze the muscles a little bit more. So scissor your legs toward each other. Root your left thigh toward the floor more. Widen the left thigh out to the left. And then pull your tailbone in. From your pelvis, extend out through your feet and through your spine. Sometimes when the stretch is just so intense, you go to your fullest capacity and then just wait. Breathe, be patient. Let go a little bit. And exhale, release, bend your knee, step back, downward facing dog pose. Alternately, press one heel down, bend the opposite knee. Go back and forth
Bend both knees. Turn your thighs in and lift your sitting bones way up high. Try to get a low back arch. Then look at your hands. We want the fingers evenly spread, wrist creases straight ahead, and then claw the pads underneath your nails. Claw, finger pads. But also press the roots of the fingers down. So I say pads and roots. Where's the root of the finger? It's where the finger joins the hand, called the metacarpal knuckles. So you claw both, pads and roots. And then with remembrance, pull up from your hands all the way up into your heart and lift your armpits up. And while your armpits lift up, soften the heart toward the floor. Yeah, release your head a little bit so your ears stay right between the arms. And once you've got all that aligned, from your heart now you reach out, push down through your hands, and from your heart reach back through the base of your shins. Push your heels backwards. And this fourth step to reach out, it's reach out. We can ask for forgiveness. We can make amends. You know, the idea is to not hold it in. Express yourself. Get it off your chest. And let yourself really come back into your heart. And almost always when, if you're having a difficult interaction, the first person who can let go will also affect the other person. When they see you let go, they'll also let go, usually. So I always say, be the first one to let go. And you'll have more harmony and more closeness. And isn't that what we're looking for in a way? More connection? To know that we're liked and lovable? Absolutely. Very good. Okay. Exhale, lunge your right foot forward and then squeeze your legs toward the middle. Use your leg power to push down and come up hands to hips. Scissor your legs strongly with remembrance. Take your arms up. See, when you remember yourself, you have a particular strength. That's what brings you back into your heart. Remember that you're a worthy person. Square your hips to the front, pull your tailbone in, and then rise up from your pelvis. Just root the legs and rise up. Arch back a little bit. Awesome. Exhale, release. Touch the floor. Go back downward dog pose. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, lunge. And then stabilize your legs. Scissor your legs toward the middle. And use the power of your legs to float your hands up onto your hips. Square both hips toward the front. So right hip comes forward, left hip goes back. Then stretch your arms up. With remembrance, breathe. Know that we are already connected to a bigger energy and that your nervous system really longs to relax, okay? So it'll relax when the muscles hug in because that supports the body, it supports the joints. And when you squeeze muscles around the joints, it creates extra protection and safety, and it sends a neurological message from the brain to the muscles that it's safe. You can relax. But it's an interesting idea that we relax by engaging the muscles. So hug with remembrance. Then lift your right thigh a little higher, left hip down, and from your pelvis, push through your legs, rise up more, and start to curl backwards. Good. Let yourself reach for something better, for something higher. Exhale. Release. Come into plank position. And if you need to, you can put your knees on the floor. It'll be a little bit easier. Otherwise, thighs back, tailbone in. Hold. Keep the heart soft. And instead of dragging the head forward, lift the sides of your throat up. Good. Your gaze is just maybe 2 feet out in front of you. Let your neck be an extension of your spine. You reach through your head. This is really good work to strengthen the core. So thighs back, tailbone in, and then pull the front of your rib cage back. Front of the ribs in. Very good. Now, either put your knees down or keep them up still. Go to Chaturanga Dandasana, but don't let your shoulders go below the elbows. You have to really squeeze in. Squeeze in. Head of the arm bones stay lifted with remembrance. Thighs back, tailbone in. From your low belly, push your heels back. From your low belly, push your head forward. And exhale all the way down. Bring your forearms in front. Just come up into baby cobra pose, or we sometimes call it sphinx pose. Good. Hug the muscles of your legs toward the middle, and then pull up from your toes all the way to the hips. Tailbone in. Exhale down. Place your hands under your shoulders. Come up cobra. So now you can come up a little bit higher. Lift your side ribs, shoulders back. Very good. Exhale. Come back into downward dog pose. Very good. And release. Bend your knees down. Please find yourself a yoga belt. You can have any kind of strap or belt. And you don't need to make a loop. I'm just going to make mine shorter so I can use the rest of the belt. Come on your back. Have your belt by your side, and we'll use it in just a second. We're going to do 2 hip openers today. So, on your back, cross your right ankle over the left knee for Sukhi Randrasana. And then bend your left knee in and hold behind the hamstring. Interlace your fingers. And what's different about this pose in the Ashaya method is we want to establish a low back curve. So shift your sitting bones more toward the floor until the low back comes off the floor. Okay, you have to push your left leg away from you. And once you keep the curve, now you can start to stretch. So pull your left knee in towards you. Karate chop your right foot so the little toe edge of your foot goes away to straighten your ankle. Inner rotate both thighs and then start to push your right knee back. You will feel a stretch. And if you don't, pull your left thigh in more towards you, but keep the low back curve. If you still don't feel any stretch at all, check your pulse. Okay, just kidding. Press your right knee away and breathe. The outer right hip crease goes back. Pull your left thigh in a little more. Breathe into the stretch and then release. Both feet on the floor. Take a big breath. And now cross your left ankle on your right knee. Pull your right leg in, interlace. Remember, establish low back curve first. You have to take your thigh bones back, and keeping the curve now, you can pull your right leg toward you, flex both feet, karate chop the left little toes away from you, and now begin to push your left knee away from you. And breathe. You will get a tremendous stretch in your hip once you take your low back off the floor. And so often we're told to push the low back down. We're always going against the curve. Ashaya Yoga, this is partly like what's behind the veil of Ashaya Yoga, look behind the veil. We want to always align with the natural curves of the spine. And so we maintain a low back curve. It's always concave in the low back. Press your left knee away from you, and keeping that alignment, you can pull your leg in as much as you want for a huge stretch. Exhale, let it go. Now grab your belt. And put the belt around your right leg. Stretch your right leg straight up. Left knee is bent, left foot is still on the floor. And move the belt to just below the ball mounds of your feet. Hold one end of the belt in one hand, the other end, and the other hand. And then you can bend your elbows a bit. Okay, pull on the belt. But again, notice if your low back has flattened. And if you can't get your hand underneath your back, it's flattened. So take your thigh bones back more until you get a low back curve. Keeping the curve, pull down on the belt. Push up through the right heel. And as you pull your foot closer, like forward, push your right thigh back, and that will help you maintain the low back curve. Keeping all that, stretch your left leg out straight and root the left heel and try to get the back of your left thigh on the floor. You may have to release the right leg just an inch or two until your left thigh goes down. Keep it down and then pull on the belt. Hold both ends of the belt with your right hand. We're going to take the right leg now out to the right side. Turn the leg out just a bit. Turn your toes toward the floor a bit. Stretch your left arm out to the side. Okay. Maintain the left leg. Try to keep your left thigh anchored. The leg will lift up a little bit, but you continue to weight it down toward the floor. Good. Inhale, come back to center. Then hold both ends of the belt with your left hand. We're going to go just a few degrees past midline. Maybe go 10, 20 degrees past midline and stop. Good. That's a lot of stretch right there. Pull on the belt. Push your right thigh back even more. Spread your toes. This will stretch the side of the thigh and the side of the calf. The IT band, iliotibial band, which goes from the hip all the way down to the ankle, usually gets very, very tight. And this is one of the best stretches that completely frees up the leg and the hip. So hold it and then breathe into it. Stretch your right arm out to the side. Now see if you can relax your face and your jaw in the midst of challenge. How do we come back to the heart, especially when we're triggered or when we feel some pain? This posture is really good practice because most people feel a lot of sensation here. And instead of calling it pain, just call it sensation. It's sort of a neutral label, sensation. You can feel sensation. In a certain way, pain is already a judgment against what we're doing. Let go. Breathe. And then inhale back to center, release the belt, and stretch your right leg out and just feel both legs on the floor and see if you can sense the difference between the right leg and the left leg now. The right leg should feel a lot longer, heavier. And then close your eyes and feel subtly what is opened in your right side. Perhaps you can breathe more into the right lung. Your right shoulder blade may have also released into the floor. The right side of your face is more relaxed. Maybe you sense that you have more drool coming out of the right side. Okay, good. Bend both knees. Stretch your left foot up. Hold the belt just below the ball mounds of the foot. Remember one end of the belt in each hand. And establish the low back curve first. So move your left thigh back. Then pull on the belt. Push your left thigh away from you. And breathe. Such a deep stretch. Push from your pelvis right up through your left heel. Pelvis to heel. Breathe and remember, bring yourself back again and again with acceptance. In yoga and like managing our emotions, we want to move towards the midline, towards the center. I don't know how you grew up, but whenever I expressed frustration as a kid, I was punished. I always had to go to my room. And then once I got in my room, I would have a temper tantrum, you know. I was taught that anger is not allowed, you know, it's bad. So we let it all go, breathe into it, and be with yourself. Now stretch your right leg out, root the heel, and push the right thigh to the floor. And what helps me be with other people who are experiencing frustration or emotion or anger is to know that underneath that surface emotion, there's a hurt little child who's in pain. So what happens is, knowing that, then you can offer compassion, like to whoever's having frustration, instead of reacting, you know, or pulling away. I actually go closer and I just offer compassion to that person and a quality of acceptance, because we all have different emotions. Okay, now hold both ends of the belt with your with your left hand, and here we go, out to the left. You can stretch your right arm out to the right. Deep stretch. Try to anchor your right thigh toward the floor. It's going to come up a little, that's fine. Breathe, remember, reflect, and then reach out from your pelvis, extend long through your leg. And extend your awareness from your pelvis all out through your right leg as well. Inhale back to center. Hold both ends of the belt with your right hand. We're going to go just a few degrees across midline, 10 or 20 degrees. Hold. Pull on the belt, press your left thigh back. And instead of running away from the sensation in the leg, let's move towards it a little bit. Lightly hug muscles to bones with remembrance of who you are, and that you are a living spirit, an unfinished, beautiful, perfect work in progress. Good. Pull on the belt a little more. See, what happens is, as soon as you let go a little bit, you can go further in the stretch. And try to maintain that edge. It's like a razor edge between agony and ecstasy. We don't want to go into agony, but we want to learn how to bring comfort to our discomforture. Bring the breath when we're feeling triggered. When we're feeling out of control, step back, reflect, remember. It's all going to be okay, and you are already okay. Inhale, bring the leg back up, release the belt, stretch the left leg out, and just compare, contrast both legs. Well done. Bend your knees in, give yourself a hug, roll to the right side. And come on up. And we'll sit for a moment. So let's elevate the hips. I like to use 2 blankets. You could use 1 blanket, 2 blankets, or a block, or sit in a chair. Sit cross-legged if you can. And inhale, lengthen your spine. We're going to do a little twist toward the right. So bring your left hand over to your right leg. Inhale, rise up, shoulders back. And then exhale, turn your heart to the right. And as your heart moves toward the right, I'd like you to focus on the low belly area and allow that to move to the left. So a real twist is when, like if you're going to wring out a towel, both ends have to move. Otherwise, it's just a rotation, you know? So as you twist to the right, I want you to resist and push from the right hip to the left hip. Yep. Keep your left hip anchored. Inhale, rise up again. Exhale, twist. Inhale, come back to center.
Exhale, twist to the left. Cross your right hand over to the left leg. Rise up. Exhale, twist heart to the left. But then move your belly from the left ribs toward the right. The left rib cage, lower rib cage, will move toward the left groin or the left hip. The heart goes around to the left. I'm sorry, the low belly moves toward the right. So the ribs on the left, the lower ribs on the left, move toward the right leg. One last breath in, and then release, come back to center. Close your eyes. Join your index fingers and thumbs. We take a moment now to simply breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And then focus on your heart. Come into the center of your heart. And see if you can keep your heart lifted, but you relax your face, your jaw, your shoulders. Draw into the stillness for a moment. Then we'll practice silent mantra meditation. Silently, I'd like you to place the thought of the mantra Hamsa. Hamsa. Hamsa means I am that. You place the thought of Hamsa right into the center of the field of your awareness, and then let it go. And continue to repeat the thought of the mantra Hamsa. And it's a silent mantra, so you try not to move your tongue or your lips. And stay with the thought of Hamsa. And whenever your mind wanders or drifts away, bring it back. The mantra becomes an anchor that allows you to become more centered, more one-pointed, and more focused. And we use the practice of effortlessness to generate the thought of the mantra. Because sometimes when we're so tense, trying to churn out that mantra or trying to beat down the other thoughts so you can hear the mantra, we just get stressed out. So with as little effort as possible, effortless effort, offer the thought of the mantra Hamsa. And now release the mantra, bring your palms together in front of your heart. Gently bow. And we conclude with just a very short period of Shavasana, lying on your back. So come down onto your back. We'll take 1 or 2 minutes here. And when you come down, arms are out by your sides, palms up. Legs are gently relaxed. And once you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes. now while you're on your back, let go of everything. So you don't have to hold anything. Let your legs relax, your hips. Let your whole spine release. Relax your shoulders, your arms, your palms. Relax your jaw. And then allow your eyes to melt. Let them sink deeper into the eye sockets. Relax your head. And then release your whole body. And with remembrance, allow yourself to receive all the benefits of the practice. Now, as you gently return, become aware. Become aware of the spaciousness in your heart and place yourself right in the center of the heart. Surround yourself with light and then take in the sound of the chime. As you're ready, gently stretch fingers and toes. Draw your knees slowly in toward your chest and roll to the right side. And using your hands, push down on the floor and slowly come up to a seated position. Sit well. Bring your palms together in front of your heart and close your eyes. And take a moment to affirm yourself. To really honor yourself. To come back into your heart where you can let go and open to the bigger energy. To allow your breath to flow. To break the cycles of limitation and patterns that we wish to release. Remember that you are connected to this source of life force all the time, and you can return to your heart in any moment. Take this time to reflect, to know yourself, to understand yourself, and to find the place in the middle, which is the heart. And then to let this light in the heart shine out and infuse this light with forgiveness, with a blessing of acceptance. As you reach out from within. Let's send peace and light to each other, and let's send peace and light out into the world, everywhere. We'll take a deep breath now and chant Om. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste. Thank you so much. It was great to share this time with you. Have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.